Welcome to Lat B, the only podcast that comes with a free Bandits bonus.
Express delivery included.
Lat B, where MMA and UFC get silly. This is the Lat B podcast.
Welcome back. We have the Mourning After here at Lat B after UFC 241, the pay-per-view, one of the pay-per-views of the year. I mean, some of the best fights of the year so far on this card. We had all sorts of upset. There was money to be made, money to be had.
What was your fight of the night?
What was, like, the performance of the night, or which one in general?
First, just favorite fight. What was your favorite fight of the night?
Costa, Romero took the show, I feel like.
And who was your performance of the night?
Oh, it's got to be Wordley. The debut or 4 days notice, knocking out the biggest favorite of the night, one of the biggest favorites of the year.
See, I would give it to Stipe. Getting beat to hell for 3 full rounds and then coming back and beating
Great point.
DC with killer body shots.
Absolutely great point. There was a lot.
But I do like that Yoel Costa fight. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
It was unbelievable.
They were throwing like they were small dudes.
The entire
time. I
time.
could not believe how much they were throwing. And in fact, I can't believe how much Stipe and DC were throwing.
I would agree with that. There was really some profile fights, some showcases.
I didn't even remember Worthy.
It was a quick one.
I thought DC and Nate was good. The grappling was
Pettis.
insane. Or Pettis, yeah.
Diaz.
Diaz and Pettis. Yeah, I'm all over the place.
You're all worked up. Again, we're just going to go down, tell you what we thought about all the cards, the atmosphere over in Anaheim, California. We're getting a big push for all of the California fighters. We even had some heels in the crowd. We'll eventually get there, though. Anything else before we got into it? We had weigh-ins on Friday. We had Nate Diaz not showing up to
the Thursday face-offs.
We also had fighters catch weighting it, not missing weight. Everybody officially made it. Romero, though, gave us all a scare, waited almost an hour, and eventually showed up 1.5 pounds under weight. That was fairly interesting.
Yeah, that was really crazy. I thought that you said he was the last one still on the treadmill and then to come in under. What the hell?
Under championship, because he had till 186 because it wasn't a championship fight, and he weighed in at 184.5. So, yeah, really, really interesting how it ended up going. That was just some of the fun stuff we ended up having beforehand. Also, Diaz, how do you feel him about using that CBD for his open workout?
Oh, yeah, that did get everywhere. I thought it was just really smart Nate. It's his
marketing.
product. He sells it, and so he smoked it, and he said it's super low CBD kind of hemp strain, I guess. So, yeah, his product. Good. Put it out there while everyone's watching. The cameras are looking. Made a good commercial for it.
Everybody was asking him about it, and he was like, come on, guys. I know I can't do the THC stuff. It's CBD. So, absolutely good for him.
Because in competition, he can't do it. And I like how Dana was just like, oh... like with Nate. Oh.
This motherfucker.
Yeah, always. Just pushing him to the brink.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Oh, did we talk about... You brought it up, but I didn't realize, or I didn't see the video yet of Connor with the old man, punching the old man in the head.
Yeah, I made a little mention of that. You finally got on that bandwagon. So, do you feel like the left hand for Conor McGregor is finally done? Because he can't even knock out old men now.
Yeah, I know, right?
That dude took it like a champ.
That guy, though, was clearly a 185er.
So you're saying he should move up?
Yeah. No, he didn't have the power.
True, good point. So.
Oh, that was uncomfortable.
It happened in April. The footage is finally getting out here in America in August. So there's been time and officially no charges were filed. But I mean, if I was that old guy, I would have had CTE, a blown eardrum. I had a kind of wampus back. Like, I would have been done.
Yeah.
I would have been done.
That would have been my retirement plan.
Easy. Exactly. But like, what? Who did what? I can't hear you because this kid just punched me in the ear like a few months ago. So, that really just interesting how Conor McGregor finds a way to make himself still one of the biggest stories before one of the biggest pay-per-views
Yeah,
of
every
the
time
year.
there's a pay-per-view. And, okay, it was one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. Was it mostly Nate Diaz? Was he the biggest draw on the card?
So here's where we can get into it. Who was the main event? Heavyweights tend to be.
I would say
the
they were
UFC.
the third.
I would say as well that they were the lead, not the high point of the night.
The only reason they were the main was the belt.
The belt.
Otherwise, I think Nate first, then Yoel Costa, then
I think Yoel Costa
Stipe.
takes that. I think that,
No way,
especially
I think
that fight
Nate's,
was so good.
like,
He's OG.
Top 3 biggest stars in the UFC.
OG,
though.
yeah.
And
Super
Showtime's up there. Showtime's a
Make
huge
down the
star,
Wheaties box.
So I think that's a super fight. Costa's still new. It's the same as a Johnny Walker. It was a great fight. It was the better fight, obviously, but I just mean name recognition. Who put butts in the seat?
Nate definitely probably put in more butts in the seat than anybody on that entire card, honestly. I mean, DC, pretty awesome, but something about lighting up a CBD joint at weigh-ins just fires the crowd up.
Yeah, did you, inside the octagon, we had Dom, Joe, and Anik.
I love the trio. I thought Joe was doing all right. There was a point in time he was calling for a tap that never even got close.
Poor Joe. He can't make it out. He's kind of like Herb Dean at this point.
But I think I was the only one really giving him shit on there for it, making a giver stuff. Everyone else kind of seemed to let it slide. So, I guess we could just start into the 12-card bout
All right.
of the pay-per-view, UFC 241. You ended up starting on Fight Pass, or not Fight Pass, on ESPN Plus. If you're not subscribed, the feeds finally coming through. Regular standard ESPN, absolute garbage trash feed on regular TV. But when we're streaming anything, it's as clear as day. So
Yeah, the Plus is definitely better than the TV, but I think that's just Comcast.
oh,
if
that's
it's
those
great.
servers.
Yeah.
Woo! Interesting how that's working out in our new
It
technical
might just
world.
be a bum TV box stretched to it. The TV might be smarter than the box. And
Oh, I
so when I'm
guarantee that.
streaming it, my phone and the TV are compatible, or my Xbox and the TV are super compatible, but that little box is bunk. Xfinity. Anyways.
Another little bunk box. We have Shayna Dodson coming in
Who?
against Marina Mazzo. Boom,
Boom, boom,
boom, boom, boom. Shayna, I mean, really telling you guys to stay away from this one. Should have picked Mazzo because she almost finished Dobson in the first round via left kick to the body. Dobson almost went down, turtled over, and then just ended up eating takedowns and shots for the rest of the 3 rounds. Really never got that right hand off, which is kind of why we were telling you to stay away. Mazzo would have been the play out of the 2, and boy howdy, was she at 113 points. She was on that
Yeah.
game-winning lineup, so
Both of us had her. It's a damn shame I didn't put her on any cards.
I did not as well, just because it was a big fat stay away. Sometimes it works out more often than not, but that was, again, low-level UFC in there amongst both these ladies. I think Dodson probably doesn't have too much longer, if even.
If at all.
Yeah, exactly. She might be out of there after this one. Mazzo, give her anybody in there. Did you take anything away from this one?
No.
On to 135 pounds, we had Kung Hyo Kang come in against Brandon Davis via 3-round decision. A lot of people saw it coming. The slight favorite ended up using, again, that grappling to get it done in there, win the position. I mean, Davis was really picking apart Kang's front leg with those calf kicks, which I feel like really started to play a role throughout the entire night. Calf kicks, everybody's using in there. And Kang's shin was double the size in the first round. Barely stand on it, but Davis, even at times, would half pull guard, would just have low fight IQ and allow the fight to get to the ground. It's why you can't trust Brandon Davis. He's a humongous bantamweight, having to run all sorts of crazy miles, having good cardio, but you can have all the cardio and athletic athleticism in the world, if you don't got fight IQ, if you don't know how to do the old your shoes untied and punch someone, you ain't good enough in here.
If you don't know how to do the whole look behind you,
Yeah, look what's over there. That's the kind of tricks we need. That's the type of thinking we need on the fly. Brandon Davis just doesn't seem to have it at the most unopportune times. He rolls back over on himself and gets taken down when he's clearly winning the striking. So, not to say from Kang either, that jab for Kang was on point. Absolutely on point. But I think the level of his competition is finally starting to plateau, and we're going to really see him get tested from this point on. Anybody for him. Brandon Davis might be time as well. He's just pretty much a guy who loses to everybody.
I agree at this point.
Anything left?
Yeah, he can't move down and weight. He's so tall for the division already. So, yeah, I just think he's kind of stunted. He's going to be a feeder fish. He's already the second fight of the night. That's not, it's probably time to
get on out of here, Brandon Davis. We're sorry about that, bud. But you're going to end up being a top contender at many other organizations, for sure.
Maybe we'll see you again. I don't know how old he is.
Very true. I think he is in that 28 to 29 range, but I could be just throwing that out of nowhere. On to 115 pounds. We had Hannah Cifers come in against Jody Escobar in a 3-round decision. I mean, the decided almost 3-1 favorite by closing lines ended up showing why she was the favorite. Escobar, again, throwing a lot of volume, just not really having it land. What I really took away from this was Escobar was looking thicker than she ever has, but almost in a bad way. She had that HGH belly more than I'd have ever seen any other fighter have.
That's a good way to put it. I was thinking she had a CrossFit body. I guess they're kind of the same. I was like, she looks like a CrossFitter. She looks like she should be, her last name should be something daughter.
It should be Jardine because that's actually her husband, but she kept the name Escobar. But yeah, she's Jody Jardine. The former title contender.
That's kind of a fun name, Jody Jardine.
I agree. I totally agree with that. But
Jody Jardine. It sounds like she should sing songs like, here's your one chance, fancy, don't let me down. Jody Jardine.
We'll be here all night. Against Hannah Cifers, who I found...
Oh my gosh, you want to hear something? This is off topic.
Let's go.
There's a band in the Northeast when I was up there visiting. This is so crazy. I don't know where they're from. They could be from anywhere. Somebody could write me and be all mad about it. But I just thought it was clever. It was a band that was a Black Sabbath cover band that dressed all as McDonald characters called Mac Sabbath.
That's dope as hell.
I thought you would appreciate that.
That's amazing. Were they actually good?
I didn't see them. Somebody was telling me about them, but apparently they're awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Them and Mini Kiss are on my list.
Mini Kiss.
They're in the same vein, right?
I saw Black Elvis.
I would see that for sure.
Yeah, he's really famous.
I guess I saw Hawaiian Elvis.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, wasn't Elvis Hawaiian for a while? Well, he lived in Hawaii, I guess.
Hawaii.
My bad. I'm sorry. I know they're building
all that from Escobar.
Yep, they're building.
But Cifers, you were saying about her awkward style.
Her fun, awkward self in general.
She is super awkward. It's heartwarming.
It is actually endearing. She's actually become a sweetheart kind of the media scene out there, having just... Everybody knows that she's really having trouble with it, so they're extra nice about it, and she just is kind of like, thanks.
Like, Joe's like, I know you're really nervous right now. Joe looked like he was uncomfortable. He was doing her mannerisms, like pulling his shoulders up to his ears.
He was coming all scared dog.
He looked like he was all like, you say I only hear what I want to. Like, he looked like he was all meek all of a sudden by her. But she is kind of awkward.
Does it make sense, though? Because to me, it would freak me out if somebody's like, I know you're freaked out right now. I'm not trying to freak you out. I'm like, stop freaking me out. Because that's what he did. He's like, I know you're really freaked out right now, and I'm trying not to.
Don't tell everyone.
Exactly.
I'm trying to act cool.
Don't bring it up, Dad. Like,
yeah,
Dad,
I know. Geez, you're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Like, hey, Joe Rogan, you're embarrassing me in front of my win.
100%. So, with Cifers in here, she ended up landing the better striking. Escobar just doesn't have that going so much. She was stopping on a lot of her shots where she would get in deep against Cifers, and Cifers wouldn't sprawl. She just kind of tense up, and it was really awkward takedown defense. It was working, but it was because Escobar wasn't driving through on her shots. And I remember texting you saying, next girls that can wrestle against Cyphers are going to be able to take her down because it just is going to take somebody, which eventually Escobar in the third round did get that takedown. But low-level MMA, Cyphers maybe shouldn't be as big of a favorite as she was, but has done better. She's outperformed, but I would have wished she would have got Escobar out of there because Escobar's that low of caliber to me. I think Escobar is time to get on out of here, sister. Time to go.
I agree.
On to 140 pounds, we had a catchweight fight via UFC request. We had Manny, the Triangle Bermudez, coming against Casey Kenny. UFC said, hey, you're cutting too much weight, Manny Bermudez. We need you to keep that perfect 14-0, and you're going to fight at 140. And he's like, okay. And Kenny's like, guys, I'm like way under that weight anyways. They're like, nah, dude, you're good. You're going to still fight at 140. Because this dude is just a freaking beast coming in on short notice, beating Ray Borg, using that D1 wrestling to just outclass Bermudez everywhere. As we were saying on the breakdown, jack of all trades, master of none. He's good all the way around with a good gas tank, good submission defense in submissions, putting Bermudez in all sorts of crazy situations there. There were some amazing grand scrambles here, but ultimately I do feel like Kenny had more takedowns, more control, especially in that second and third round. Bermudez won more of that third round, but it was because of that size coming in. But he's a one striker, 1 and 2 strikes, where Kenny was backing off, throwing multiple strikes, kicking, and then taking him down. It was just beautiful game plan. Good fight IQ from the young man. I don't think we see him as an underdog anytime soon after this. Ray Borg and Manny Bermudez, 2 of the highest prospects on 135 pounds.
He said he wants a banger next time. They keep throwing him in against these wrestlers, but geez, I think he's a dark horse coming in.
I totally agree, but I'm saying
He's
I don't
not
think
going to be too dark.
No,
Everybody's
he just
going to see him coming.
Now,
Clear as day.
100%.
They're going to say, all right, open the door, open up the gates, let Kenny on through.
Let him bang, bro. Let him bang, bro.
Who do you think? Who do you think in the 140 division? Is that the reason he looks so good all of a sudden? That is true.
Have you seen all the Cejudo intergender coming out of the ladies' bathroom in trash?
No.
He walked out of the ladies' bathroom and is just like, ooh, oh yeah. Like he's crossing the boundary. I love it. Triple champ, let's go, baby.
You like Cejudo, but whatever. I admit, I like Colby Covington.
I like Colby too.
I love it. If you don't get the shtick, then you just don't get it.
Dummy.
You don't get it.
Exactly. You dummy.
It's
like it.
Let's
like
not go
kiss.
overboard and compare things to Andy Kaufman, but let's compare it more so to like Macho Man Randy Savage.
I was going to say mini kiss. Back to mini kiss. It's just a lesser version of something good, but it still works for him overall. So
I like Kenny going forward, and Bermudez, he's like a Damian Maia of the 140 division.
Do you think he should move up?
He needs to move up.
Right?
If he doesn't move up, and especially this, I don't like this. Like, come on, dude, you've missed twice in a row. I just want some consistency with the UFC. You miss once, you get fined. You miss twice, automatically move up. I read it somewhere else too. You should have to fight 3 fights at the higher weight before you even get the opportunity to move down.
I love that. I love that being the standard there. Unfortunately, with this catch weight, I played into it and was like, hey, they're trying to give my boy an extra 5 pounds. I got to double down on him now because he just has hours that he cut out of his exhaustion level. So I was hoping that cardio would come a little more through. But again, the skilled all the way around Kenny came through. Really fun fight. I think that one later on we're going to...
Great fight. I think Kenny's going to be 1, 2, watch.
I think both of these guys will, honestly.
The only way that people might not really notice is because of the card it was on. It just lays under the weather.
I totally agree. Absolutely. Moving on, if we got nothing else with that one.
Yeah, we can go.
255 pounds. We had Drakkar Klose coming in as a favorite against Christos Giagos via decision. A lot of people saw it coming in here. The better wrestler, the better cardio. You ended up switching to
Giagos. But I actually got more. He was worth this points on DraftKings.
As far as most opponents, he was definitely a guy who lost a fight and still scored better than some winners. And we'll go over those winners eventually. But yeah, Giagos wasn't the worst play as far as DraftKings is concerned. Drakkar Klose as well ended up throwing up so much volume that he actually scored 95 points, but he was 9,000 on DraftKings. So he barely scored enough. He was on some good cards. Giagos definitely allowed you to be in cash, though, if you were playing him anywhere. Where do we go with either of these guys? Giagos will be able to beat lower level guys, but it's guys with questionable gas tanks because that's just something that he needs to get you out of there early or he just kind of starts to unravel. Kind of a theme for the card as well throughout the night. Did you take anything away from Klose or Giagos in this one?
I definitely think Klose is capped, and I think he's going to be overrated going forward, and I think Giagos is going to be undervalued going forward, so I actually think I will continue to play Giagos, and I will fade Klose.
Interesting. I still like Klose as a regular decision type of a fighter. That's his lane. He knows that. He was trying to swing in there, but eventually just gets back to that wrestling, and if your base is going back to your wrestling, it's always going to work out it's going to work out more often than not, I feel like. So I like to put my money behind that. But
do you have their numbers of how many strikes they threw and stuff against each other? Or
I don't have that off the top of my head right now, but 95 points on DraftKings, cut that in half. I do feel like on average, Klose does tend to have a little more volume on the night, especially on that night, and just those takedowns throwing around 3 to 4 in general. Anything else with either one of those fighters moving forward? Because they can fight anybody.
Do you want to match up Drakkar Klose yet, or you think he still has to fight a few more before we even waste time on that kind of stuff?
I could really see him get Kang, who just fought recently, but that leg's jacked up earlier on the fight night, so he's going to have
if they're on the same fight night, though, that's always a good idea, is that they have the same heel and train schedule.
Right. At 55, no, he's already faced Baba Green. Who else is at 55? That's too much of a step up. I mean, there's always monsters getting in there. Don the Magic Man Madge, I think, has a fight coming up soon, but he might be at 45.
No, 55? He's not ready yet. I guess he's not ready.
Vince Michelle?
I don't know if he's a 55er, but maybe he is.
He is a 55er. Give me Vince Michelle versus Klose. Right. That's a wrestler with heavy power. That's a tricky one.
Coming up like next week, like on the 242 or something.
If there's a steady underdog, I like to be betting on Vince from hell. Push out, always bringing in that plus money type of a game plan. With Giagos, would you even try to match him up, or he just takes whoever they give him?
He gets who he gets.
100% on that one. Moving on to 135 pounds.
He's getting so much better, though, you guys. So be careful about him just being a feeding fish if that's what you're trying to do, because he'll ruin a young prospect's game if that's what you try to do.
I totally agree. He has enough experience to beat those guys, but yeah, those top 15 and above are going to be tough for Giagos. That's going to be kind of his max, sitting outside of there. Moving on to 135 pounds, we had Corey Sandhagen coming in against Rafael Assunção via 3-round decision. I mean, this was a technical masterpiece. You saw Maestro in there working. He was switching his stance so many times you couldn't even count it in there. Throwing from both sides evenly, throwing in knees and just having good takedown defense scrambles on the ground. Rafael Assunção does what he does, which we like to say here. He slows down fights and makes them nastier than they are, which should have told me back off of Sandhagen. He's still going to get the decision, but it turned into an under 100-point fight where Sandhagen has that type of volume, but Assunção's so crafty that it does get you to respect him. He does deserve his respect in there, and Assunção hasn't fallen off of a cliff as far as his abilities yet, but he has started to slow down, and he's just old dog in a young pup type of a territory right now, and we're seeing these guys finally start to contest him. He'll be a top 10er for a while, but I don't think Assunção ever makes a run for that title ever again.
No. But he looked great. He'll still stunt a lot of other people's careers that aren't ready for that kind of ground game, but making it through Assunção like he did, Sandhagen did a great job. He looked good everywhere. I love the reversals. I was actually kind of surprised. It makes me think the people adding up score they're not counting the right things on DraftKings. There should have been a little more points than 66 point whatever, in my opinion.
I totally agree with that. There was even takedowns at times that they don't, for other fighters, that they don't count, and it's like, what? That would have been a 2. Damn, that would have been back points in that.
It should have been points for the takedown and points for the reversal instead of not doing
none
it.
at all.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. More points, the better.
At this one, we're talking about Costa Yoel at the end of the third round on that.
100%. Absolutely 100%. So, where do we go with Sandhagen next? I mean, he just beat, what was a Sunsao ranked? He was top 3? Top 2 or 3?
I think he was 2 and Sandhagen was 8 or something.
Something
weird.
like that, or 3 and 8.
Yeah, 3 and 8.
But yeah, Sandhagen all of a sudden in the top 5. Top 5, he's 4 or 3.
Sandhagen 135 fighting. Who else is up there right now for title contention? Joey B wants to fight for title, so I think Formiga Sandhagen.
I love that. Absolutely
that's a great
love that.
fight.
Yeah, I could easily see that fight happening.
And that's it. And then if you get past, they should be on the same heel cycle for winner of Cejudo Joey B.
I could even see Mariah Sandhagen.
I'm okay with that too.
I'm really okay with that.
Okay with that too.
Hell okay with that one. I think Mariah's is like 2 or 3 in there right now, and I'm like, oh, yeah, he might be healed up. That'd be a fucking dirty fight. Woo! Woo! I'm excited just thinking about that one right now.
Yeah.
Woo! 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 Sunsao, give him anybody, a young prospect. He'll probably be able to ragdoll him in there and keep his position for a little while longer. On to the headlining preliminary bout of the night at 155 pounds. We had short notice replacement Kama Worthy against Devontae Smith, the biggest favorite of the night, minus 1,000, closing lines plus 650. You know why we love MMA, because everybody's got a shot. Everybody has a shot in here. I didn't do enough research before we had our breakdown. I was just able to watch tape and didn't know that these guys had actually trained with each other prior to. So they had rounds in the gym together. They had hours where they've already fought each other. And I loved Devontae Smith's thought process on it, because he was saying when the journalist asks him, hey, this is your buddy, how do you feel? He's like, wait till the rest of the division feels when they see what I do to my friend, how I knock him out. And I'm like, ooh, love that. Love that. Didn't work out, buddy. Woo!
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Really interesting. This was a little tentative. I think it had a lot to do with that whole lot of pressure coming in for Smith. He's a big favorite. No pressure for Kama in there. And then the crowd even got a little involved because they were going back to their sparring days, just kind of feeling each other out, because they've already done a lot of that fight IQ. They've already registered that for hours. So they're picking up on a few-hour fight. And Kama knew what to do. The crowd did start to boo, though. And then people say that Smith just kind of moved in recklessly, caught a left, and then ended up getting ground and pound. We had the short notice replacement jump over the cage, be an instant sensation. I mean, there's no way he gets a easier fight than Devontae Smith.
I don't know
after
if
this.
he's a huge sensation, though. I don't know if Devontae Smith was a huge sensation. I know he was a huge favorite because of the short notice and stuff, but I just don't know if... You'll have to remind me who Worthy is next time we talk about him.
Yeah, I will. And it won't, but he didn't do much in here. I mean, this was done in 45 seconds. I mean, these guys barely hit at each other. These guys were barely there to see much from it. I think, again, there was a lot of pretense. They had a lot of other fight experience prior to that, what we saw in there. They can have anybody. I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're both pretty brand new.
Yeah, I don't care about them yet.
There's not enough, right?
It was a weird spot for me. I didn't think they deserved the spot, and there was too many other good fights on here. So I was kind of bitter against them. I know a good thing happened, and it was exciting, but I was like, okay, let's get on with it.
I had Smith. I only had Smith on 1 or 2 cards because he was the most expensive, but I thought the mid-range was going to play out a little more, and they did. Only they
when
ended up
are you
breaking
going to
even.
learn to stop making these newbies so expensive?
When are we going to learn? Let everyone else ruin 50% of their cards. And here at Lap B, we're going to be like,
I say, stay away from
all the
them.
time.
That wasn't, I didn't go heavy, thank goodness.
Agreed. Neither did I.
But I still got it wrong because I did have Smith to win.
Totally agree.
By knockout probably in round 1. So, yeah.
Whoever won that bet, good for you. You're braver than I am to be putting money on 4-day replacement short notice, guys. Just saying. Way fucking braver than I am. So, good on you. Anything going into the pay-per-view? We ended up having a showcase of a pay-per-view. If you've ever decided, if you were ever iffy about buying a card, this was not it. This was one that was easily pay-worthy. Woo! Some of the fights of the year on here ended up starting out at 185 pounds when we had Derek Brunson as an underdog coming in against Ian Heinisch via 3-round decision. We had Brunson go back to his wrestling roots, land the better strikes, and just out-grapple Ian Heinisch pretty much all 3 rounds. I feel like, was it a 29-28 type of a decision in there? Maybe 30-27? Derek Brunson did what he needed to use that D1 wrestling against the former convict. Ended up getting it. My bad.
That guy served his time. That's just what he's going to always be. The convict.
My bad. I like United. She's awesome. It just came to mind.
The convict. He should just change his nickname to that.
Oh no, I think he found Jesus and is all super nice guy. Which he is. Still took a champ, saying all the good stuff after a loss. The veteranship of Brunson worked in. I feel like you were on Brunson in this one at times, really talking good about him.
No.
No? You were all
Never.
about the Heinisch sign as well?
I was all Heinisch.
I agree.
I don't
We saw the
David. I
limits.
fade Derek Brunson. And I was kind of...
Derek Brunson 2.0. He's finally now.
See, I don't think that... I think Heinisch won until he gassed. And then once he gassed, the veteranship of Brunson, it was just like, oh...
Takedowns.
You don't have 3-round cardio? Well, shit.
Or you have more...
shit.
Right. You have more 3-round cardio than these guys that gas. But Brunson has really turned his fight... IQ from throwing on skates, from throwing punches crazy, to sitting back, waiting for time shots. I mean, that wasn't Derek Brunson against Sam Alvey. That wasn't against Uriah Hall, where he's just kind of everywhere. This is somebody who's taking his actual fight planning to the next level and realizing that his wrestling in his back pocket is always what got him to the show.
Who's Brunson fight next?
85. Woo! All sorts of fun fights.
Is it set up for him to fight Yoel on heel? It's not a big enough fight for Yoel, in my opinion.
Not at all. Yoel doesn't come off of that. Fighting Brunson. Brunson does nothing for Yoel there. Not even in the title.
I don't think Yoel's ever... The UFC's never going to let him have it. Like, he's not going to get a shot
Yoel
again.
only has super fights.
I agree.
That's it. And Brunson is not a super fighter.
He's not. He's just not. So,
No.
okay. We can just move on. We don't have to...
And Heinisch, anybody at 80, any jiu-jitsu guy with no gas tank, he'll be able to get done in there. At 145 pounds, we ended up having Sadiq Youssef coming against Gabriel Benitez, getting it done 46 seconds in there, or 4 minutes and 14 seconds of the first round in there. I mean, both of these guys were swinging. Absolutely. Sadiq Youssef was not. He was walking down Benitez, but Benitez was throwing some good counter strikes, landing some great straight lefts. Youssef was hurt. But
I felt like the first few minutes of the fight, Benitez was making
looking
it
good.
He was looking way good.
Youssef was definitely on shaky legs, and there was times in there I was a little worried that Youssef was just going to keep walking into a punch, but he just beat Benitez to the punch there. I mean, nasty knockout. It was a fun one. Can we take a ton away from it?
No.
Right?
Not yet.
No, I don't think so yet either.
To me, it was an interesting pick for the main card, actually.
Were they trying to set up a finish, though?
Probably.
That's what I think as well with the hype. But he proved it. This is what he should have done to Benitez, the type of favorite that he was. everything it was. I did stack some of my cards with Benitez, and I did have Benitez on some of my contrarian plays just because I thought he would be low owned. For those first couple minutes, I was excited, but I did hedge my bets. I had Yusuf on other cards as well, and flat out, I bet Yusuf, but Benitez, if he's facing debut fighters, he's going to be able to beat them, but prospects of Yusuf's level now, or especially at his age, it's just not going to be there for him. Yusuf, he's got to get, though, being on this pay-per-view, he's got to get a number fighter on there. Anybody with a number, Yusuf's got to get next.
Yeah, it's time. He should have a big enough name. And from what I gather, we always talk about how they're planning the African card, another Nigerian. So, just saying, kind of smart. Keep building up that African card. Keep building up those African fighters. And he put there'll be definitely clips for his fight reel out of this fight. So, good on Yusuf. Good on him. Good on him.
That's what he should have done.
Yeah.
So
that's what everyone expected.
Exactly. He ended up paying out, but he was pretty expensive.
If you were trying to decide between Yusuf and Smith, or who was it? Was it Smith? Smith. You were so glad you went with Yusuf.
Way more, and I did actually pick Yusuf way more than Smith in there because it was like 200 more for Smith, but. Interesting cards that ended up making it to the end there. Mazo being one of those top ones. Dang, Mazo, dude. WMMA. It's
And if you aren't following us at LATB_MMA on Instagram and Twitter, and then you could also follow us individually at Weakneck Baby and Zoltanite also on Twitter. If you're not doing that, then you're not going to get our cards last minute, and our choices do change.
They do.
So... I have to say about my choices this time, if you listen to the show, you were smarter to not follow me on Twitter and get my card. Because it was better that way. I was better off the show this week.
Fight breakdown, when we actually broke it down there, not post weigh-ins and all of that. You could let the media sway you sometimes.
Yes.
Definitely. That's why patented rule here at Lat B, you make your cards just off for the show, just all those. You don't touch those, and then you squirrel around and throw in some other stuff once you've learned some more information as the fight week kind of goes on. So then we get into the real meat and bones of the stacked
almost like
card.
the best 3 cards in a row all year.
These could have been
3 fights in a row.
Main events on any other fight cards, pay-per-views, any one of these fights, and you would have been absolutely excited for it. And man, did it start off with the fight of the year contender, Paulo Costa, Romero. If you're living under a rock, you missed it. This is why we watch MMA. I mean, Romero coming in there and, again, using that veteranship, that fight IQ to get the win. He got the win. Romero won that fight. It was, I saw verdict scorecards. They say that Paulo Costa won the first 2 rounds and Yoel won the third. Is that what the universal cards are, what people are saying? As far as the refs, it was, I think, 29-28. Paulo Costa split decision type of a fight. I mean...
It was too close for me to be mad, and I said it afterward, but I was surprised, and I said, Yo won that fight. Yo won that fight!
Agreed. I wasn't mad. I would have never booed at either one of the fighters in that because they both fought their asses off, regardless of what the judges had it for. You can't boo it.
Beat up Ricky Martin.
Woo! Both of these guys. I mean, he hit him with the patented... What's going on over there, buddy?
Yeah.
Boom! Hit him right in the face. And Paulo Costa said, he got me.
Needed the dick like no
That
other.
was Costa.
I know.
But what Yoel Romero did geniusly there is he flopped like a soccer kick. All of a sudden, his balls blew up and he was on the ground taking a 5-minute break.
All the way into the eye.
That was a gnarly poke.
That was nasty.
Paulo Costa even saying in the post-fight presser saying, he got me. He got me with that. We got me. Next, you're going to see one of Yoel Romero's trainers sneak into the cage, get on all fours right behind him. You're going to push him.
Yeah.
Tabletop him.
It was such a good fight. Everything about it.
It was unbelievable.
Anyway, the UFC did their, I saw the argument that we got on our Twitter account was, Yoel's not going to get the fight with Robert again.
Which, twice. It happened twice that he won, regardless of how he won. He can't. Yoel can't get back up there.
No, so Yoel, I think if Adesanya loses, Yoel Adesanya, that's a great fight.
Sure. Bohachina Adesanya is a great fight too.
Borrachina should fight
Chicken legs. What did he call him?
Kelvin.
Oh, don't do that to my boy. Don't do that to my boy.
Or Kelvin Yoel. But Kelvin's kind of been on a heel. He should be kind of healed up right now.
He needs to get some lower level wins. These guys are all fighting for the belt.
He just fought Adesanya, who's fighting for... He just fought for the championship belt.
So it would only be Yoel then. He can't fight Costa.
He has to fight the top guys.
Yeah, it has to be. It only has to be. I guess I feel better in there against Yoel than Bohachina, kinda.
They're both scary dudes.
They're both fucking scary ass dudes.
Scary men. It was a great fight. One of my favorite fights ever.
What was your favorite parts in it? Just both of them getting rocked in the first round, the explosiveness, the tactics, because it was. I mean, these guys were making live reads. Yoel Romero throwing that knee a couple times. For the 185,
I think my favorite thing inclusively of it was how much strikes were thrown. It was just high volume for this weight class. It was so good.
It was so good.
I like that they stood on their feet a lot of the time for this weight class. I was surprised. Everyone was like, why isn't Yoel using his wrestling more?
Did he try a few times and Moachina actually shucked most of them off?
I feel like maybe once or twice.
Well, there was at the end of the second round, which I feel like solidified Yoel Romero's second round takedown, which we were like, there's that savviness. There's that veteranship. There's Yoel being a constant professional. And then, was it in the third round, in the last few seconds, it was the other takedown to finish out the round, but they didn't count it because, again, I don't know what control, how long it takes for control here.
Yeah.
If this was the Olympics, Yoel would have got two. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I actually thought that takedown, it was so close though, I was like, oh, that takedown might have won Yoel the fight. And then when it reversed, I'm like, I don't know who won.
Neutral.
I don't know who won.
Yeah, you can't be mad at it though.
Yeah.
Cannot be mad. Just take it for what it's worth. Go back and enjoy that.
For everyone that they said that they pushed Borrachina too fast, holy hell though. No, dude showed out. I was pleasantly surprised.
Proved everything. Yeah. There's even on a Yoel Romero's bad night, he still murders most people.
I agree.
So definitely one to be watching. Bohachina, Ricky Martin's stunt double. Ricky Martin wish he looked that good.
I know, right? Ricky Martin was watching it probably like, that's me.
Look at me with Menudo.
Jerking off in the mirror. Sorry.
Thank you for doing it. I didn't want to be the one that had to go there.
Outside, inside, out. Jerking off the Borrachina.
New and improved remix. So... And all top, mix them all in together at 185 in the top there, and you're going to get an amazing fight.
I know. Remember when the 185 was dead? Now look at it.
Being great again.
Yep.
It was this fight at 170 pounds, the co-main event. These guys were whispering sweet nothings in their ears. Nate Diaz coming in against Anthony Pettis, the Wheaties boy himself. Nate Diaz off of 3-year stint, essentially, taking a break, coming back and showing that cage rust is not real.
Well, you know why he took 3 years off. Because everybody sucked too
Everybody sucked, yeah. So he came back to fight Pettis, the only guy that's been around that long.
But he has called a bad motherfucker belt. He has the bad motherfucker belt, and if you want the bad motherfucker belt, you have to come and fight him, and he will only fight other bad motherfuckers. So Anthony Pettis is a bad motherfucker. So he took the belt from him, and now he has it, and he called out Jorge.
Making his own belt, and I love it.
And he said, somebody make me a belt. He called for it in the post-fight presser.
Absolutely easiest thing.
I'm sure Brendan Schaub already has it coming.
How many fans, I bet you there's metallurgy guys that are MMA fans that are just
especially Diaz fans.
In a heartbeat. They're going to have weed all over, hemp belts and shit. Crazy shit. Oh, that's a genius. And he walks around just with his own belt.
And passes it on a bad motherfucker belt.
UFC, all of a sudden, new contracts. They're like, oh, by the way, new clause. You can't make your own belt, guys. Watch.
I know they
They're
will.
going to be some shit.
We're not allowing that. We're not allowing that.
He's going to be the first, just like Dana White.
But he doesn't even care. If they even tried to give him a belt, he'd probably be like, oh, I don't want to carry it. But I do like that we're seeing this edge of, we've never seen this respectful side of Diaz, of really throwing out a lot of humble remarks toward other awesome fighters that you can't say they're not bad motherfuckers. Like, he was super
Very
sweet
true.
to Jorge afterward.
Which he officially verbally took that fight, right?
I think so. If I'm Jorge, that is a way better fight for me than Leon Edwards.
The way you do that fight,
Money-wise and how
it
hard
has to
it
be
is.
on a pay-per-view, and you have to be a co-main event again with Diaz. You have to be a co-main so that you get some sort of like pay-per-view buy.
And you only want to do 3 rounds for training purposes.
Agreed. But that's the only way that if I'm Masvidal, I take that fight. Co-main event, so I get shares of pay, and then it's got to be John Jones as the fucking main event.
Well,
Or
if they
Conor.
want to be nice to John Jones, but I think they're going to, like, that's a being nice to a champ they appreciate. Or one of Ali Abdelaziz's clients. Because the pay-per-view buys for that, of neither of those guys
Right.
get a fucking...
But do you think Diaz is like, fuck this, just make me the pay-per-view guy?
I don't think he'll mind fighting 5. I don't think he'll mind fighting Jorge 5.
Oh, not at all. That's
Yeah.
easy. So in this fight, I mean, first round,
Diaz.
Diaz.
To me, I gave
the
Diaz all 3
volume,
rounds.
volume.
Tons of volume. He was throwing points the entire time, and he was actually better on the ground.
Anthony Pettis. Actually, I ended up picking him via submission because I thought he was going to have a little bit more, especially triangles off of the back. Diaz really fought him well there, but was it the first or second round where Anthony Pettis' ankle grew to twice the size?
I don't know. I felt like they were kind of making a big deal of that to try to find some reason that he was just getting picked apart. But he was trying to put too many laurels on the fact, I beat Wonder Boy. And it's kind of like, meh, so.
A lot of cage work. I mean, it was Diaz 101. That's what he does. That's what he's going to do at the highest level. And he's going to still be able to do that at 170.
Checking leg kicks like a MF. If you want to say the ankle did blow up, it was only because he got a leg
Because he checked it.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Everything that any of the loopholes that we used to notice about a Diaz game weren't there. He was a very matured fighter. He just seemed matured in every way.
Every sense. I totally agree with that. So, who do you give for Pettis? Who do you give Diaz next? I mean, we just kind of went over
I think both guys
somewhat.
get super fights only, and I mean, what are belts? I just think they both deserve to get paid. ESPN did a better job with Nate Diaz than we've ever seen before,
Agreed.
and I think somewhere Dana got hollering at from the brass of ESPN of like, this kid's a gold mine, treat him better, blah blah blah. Because in the post-fight presser, Dana was like, yeah, they were pretty much, it's undeniable, right? The whole audience was chanting Diaz and was all into Diaz. He's a cash cow for you. He's of the likes of Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, right?
100%.
And Dana's like, yeah.
Yeah. But he doesn't listen, guys. He doesn't do what we want, guys. Guess what? They know none of them do.
Yeah, he
we got
doesn't
guys
care
punching
anymore.
old ladies, all the or old men.
He
and
doesn't care.
hitting
He's
drunk
small
hookers.
potatoes now. He used to be like a bad boy. Now
Yeah.
it's like he ain't doing
He
shit.
ain't-
He's
he ain't-
easy. He shows up. He's professional. Him and his brother are always where they need to be. You can say what you want of whether, but and their whole shtick that used to be like, these guys are Cypress Hill. Now, so what? Everybody smokes pot.
Well, now UFC's in the CBD business, so. Again, he ain't sandblasting hookers out there. He's just got a little
So
CBD
yeah, we
in the
want the
system.
Masvidal fight for Nate, and then for Pettis, who do we give him?
I mean, he can go, 70,
Super
he's like
fights
that.
only. Do we want Pettis Cowboy?
No, Cowboy deserves somebody else at this point.
Have we ever seen that?
I feel like we did
Oh.
back in maybe WEC days we saw that. And Pettis won body kicks. So, Pettis at 170... I would want to say Ponzinibbio, honestly.
Oh my god, he would get murdered. It wouldn't even be fair.
But
but it would be good for Ponzinibbio
That's why
because no one's talking about him.
That's
And
we haven't seen him in a while, so I'm like, give me that big old Pons in there. In the crowd during this time, we had the red-hatted one, Joaquin himself, Lord Voldemort himself, having the entire crowd. I mean, there were chanting
No, it wasn't
Diaz.
during Nate's fight at all that they started cheering for Colby. It was during EOL and Borrachina.
Was it really? Okay.
No, it was somebody. I
Or
feel
was
like it
it-
might have been Borrachina.
Was it Yusuf?
Yeah, because somebody was like, "Come on, cheer for us," and I'm like, they're booing for Colby. They're not excited.
Brunson
for the fight.
Heinisch.
Yes, that's
Who it was.
That's who he walked
That's
into.
it was a decision.
Yeah, because
because
Brunson was like, "Cheer for us! This is a badass fight," and people were like, "No, they're booing Colby."
yeah, and it was just Colby getting that amount of heat in California.
Yeah, the whole time it was only Diaz chants during
Loved
this.
it. Absolutely loved it in there. So we picked the fights for those guys, co-main event.
We don't
it's
have
gonna be
anyone
a
for
fun
Pettis,
one.
but he can just
Oh,
fight.
I thought we just had Ponzi.
Oh, I don't love that, but okay.
I'll do that to him.
He's off a win.
I'll do that to
Ponzinibbio
him.
has won like 6 or 7 fights in a
Yeah,
row.
but he doesn't have a name in there other than like Gunny, I think. So, on to the main event, the heavyweights. We had why we all came here for the pay-per-view. The big boys came out at 265 pounds, both of them weighing lighter than they did for the first fight. A lot of people seeing it going later. A lot of people not thinking it would end up finishing. I didn't think. I thought both of these guys would really sit back and pick each other apart a little bit more. And that did happen. But essentially they picked up right where they left off. Stipe wasn't scared to get into that pocket with Daniel Cormier. He wasn't scared in that right-hand exchange. I feel like Stipe's defense was his head, and so was Daniel Cormier for that matter. Neither of them were really defensively sound. They were both just, I'm going to throw a 1-2. I'm going to throw a 1-2. Okay, me too. Like, wrestling for each other. They neutralize each other, but eventually Cormier was going to land the harder shot, or Stipe. Just Stipe did first this time, but I think that fight's still a coin flip. I think Daniel Cormier wins the rematch on that one, and Stipe wins the rematch after that rematch. I think they're just right there with each other.
I kind of felt like Daniel Cormier won the whole entire fight until he got knocked out.
Oh, very true.
I felt different about it. I felt like Daniel came out and looked so much better this time than the first. Like Stipe didn't in the first fight. He controlled a little bit of round 1 for me. This time I didn't feel like he really had control anywhere until he didn't have control. I thought Daniel looked so good out there. I thought his body looked good. I thought he looked like he was in his element. He was so damn fast. His hands were fast. I thought he was doing everything right. And when Stipe came into the fourth and even the first shot to the body, first left to the body, we're like, damn.
Yep.
By the third one, we're starting to discuss it in the room, like he's setting up something, and then we're like, it's obviously not the John Jones head kick, but it could be. Is it a left? Is it a high left? Is it? But he was setting something up with that body kick, and then it knocked. TK.
The body shot, the body
punch. Sorry, yeah, the left of the body.
What was it? You're so right. Like 5 in a row there at the end.
It was like 8 at least. We started counting,
and they were hard.
And it was so hard.
He was digging into
grimacing. It was making him grimace. DC grimace, and I felt like he set up that knockout blows all by those body shots. And
totally.
Whatever his corner said, you even said it last night. Like, wow, what great coaching. Whatever the corner said, and whatever he listened when he came out exactly to the instructions they gave, and he turned that fight around in the fourth, in my opinion. I know some people say it was in the third, but I felt like DC kind of had
all 3 rounds. I agree. On my verdict, it was all 3 rounds DC. And I feel like if DC sticks around at heavyweight, he's going to still say, I've technically not lost a round at heavyweight yet, because he was winning that round until he got knocked out. He could say.
Well, I thought those strikes of the body were Stipe's round to me. I would if it went to the end, I would have given Stipe that round. He was just doing such a good job. But it wouldn't have been enough. Even then, I even think I said to you, DC already has 3 rounds. So even if Stipe wins the next 2, like it was just looking bleak for him.
I totally agree. Off topic a bit, how did you feel about the Megan O'Leary asking the corners throughout the pay-per-view and throughout the night, just like talking to the secondary corner man? She did it for Escobel, and she also came in for, like, I think the Brunson Heinisch even fight, where she would just be in the back just like, hey, coach. And then they would kind of chit-chat a little bit. How do you feel about that? We've never seen that before. I've been watching forever. I've never seen it.
As long as it's not a person that's the one responsible for talking to them in the octagon. As long as it's not interrupting what's going on that moment for the person that is responsible for chatting with them inside the cage, then I'm okay with it. I'm okay. And I know that everyone was like, oh, well, their game plan, but they do it in football too. They talk to the coaches on the sideline, and they talk to people, and it does suck because other teams and other coaches do listen in or have somebody listening in or watching. So it is part of, but you don't have to be specific. You don't have to give them like, so we told him to go in and low kick the calf. Like, you don't have to be specific. Like we said, the first round didn't look like theirs, so we think they need to close this one out right here. You could be vague and just give her something. I think they're just trying to bring the audience in more. They're trying to bring the common fan in more. It's not for... ESPN's trying to figure out how to get UFC more fans.
They're trying stuff, and they're not just putting superficial robots with NFL music on to try to boost the numbers.
Like the
They're actually
XFL?
trying stuff. No, well, it used to be those robots on the old FS1. I'm like, this football, no, this UFC, what's going on?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, they just be like, oh, we'll take their fans. Doesn't work that way.
I almost did the Back to the Future thing. Bam, 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 bam. No. Yeah.
So, overall, as far as the pay-per-view, this is an A. This is an A. If you want to see an A, this is an A as far as
I'm
a
glad
card.
Stipe got his belt back. So DC, is it John Jones or bust? John Jones or retirement?
How do you feel about people saying that DC was never an anything? How do you feel about people online going hard against DC?
Well, I didn't feel like he was the GOAT. You did. You said he was okay to be on a pound for pound.
I think he is. I still stick to that.
Don't understand what makes him that if he's lost so many times and 2 times by knockout, like by 2 other guys.
He's lost twice to John Jones, one by knockout, and then once to Stipe. That's it. That's all he's lost. That's not a lot of times.
I know, but his belt, like a champion, he kind of got his belt handed to him in really peculiar ways both times.
Because John Jones messed up.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that John Jones fought, he didn't have to fight. Like, John Jones had the harder rung of the fights. He got, like, really easier fights, especially toward the end. Like, Derek Lewis and...
Derek Lewis was an easy fight. But Anthony Johnson was not. Anthony Johnson was one of the scariest
Anderson
mofos.
Silva?
Yeah, I agree. That one wasn't a hard fight, but that was short notice. Anderson Silva was eating pizza literally at weigh-ins.
And it was Anthony Johnson after PED and after all that shit. It was after USADA. Anthony.
I don't know. Anthony was smirking dudes up until that run, but DC made him quit both times. But DC broke his nose. Remember? Johnson kicked his nose in the freaking of the bleachers.
I think DC is amazing. He's obviously a Hall of Famer. I just don't think he's a pound for pound top 10.
Ooh, that hurts. Now that he's lost via finish, I mean, yes, he's going to fall down that ranking very far. But it was a night of the underdogs. We had a lot of upsets, some of the biggest we've seen in a long time in the UFC, even outside of the UFC. Did you end up catching any of that? Koji Horiguchi, title contender, ended up finishing in the first minute over in Japan. The Gooch being decided like +6 or -600 ended up getting starched.
But there's got to be something said if he knocked out the greatest heavyweight of all time, which is what they're calling Stipe.
I agree with that. That's why I feel like he should be up in the pound for pounds listing. That's why I feel like he can be up there. Only losing at heavyweight, he's only lost once. It's the Stipe via knockout. So heavyweight on its own.
He's only lost once at light heavyweight to John Jones.
Twice, but
oh yeah.
Yeah. But 3 times in his career. He deserves to be on the pound for pound. He ain't gonna change my mind on that. He ain't gonna change my mind.
Well, it depends how long you're a pound for. So he's in your top 10 pound for pound.
As of right now, yeah, he can.
Of all time, or just for active fighters?
Well, active fighters, I guess.
Okay.
Active fighters of all time. Yes, he's gonna be up there. I still think a lot of people can't do what DC. It's gonna be hard for people to do the run that he did. He still had a very, very high level run in here.
I think it's high level for sure. I just don't know if DC is a GOAT. But I love him and don't know if I want to see him get knocked out anymore.
I 1,000,000% agree with that.
But I think he won the fight until he wasn't winning, so that's a bummer too. Like, I still think he got the skills. I guess he is a GOAT.
Thank you! Boom! Like,
because he was winning that fight to me.
He was beating the best heavyweight of all time,
and
some people say.
He was also in another weight class. I think a lot of the fighters only fight in one weight class ever, and they're called pound for pound. And it's like, well, Max Holloway, they say he's a pound for pound, but when he stepped up to a heavier weight, he got murked.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I don't know. Whatever.
Interesting facts we have. We're going to be back here. It's the first weekend we're going to have off in like 9-11 weeks or something. Our first weekend off.
9/11?
Whoa!
But we get to come back for September 7th card in Ali Abdelaziz. In
Abu Dhabi.
And
Habib Dustin Poirier.
That's such a big card. So, yeah, maybe we need some time off. Everyone should decompress Everyone should go in a float tank and float through the universe like Joe Rogan. Everyone should find their inner Joe Rogan for the hiatus and
Stoned
take some time
Rogan.
off.
Stoned Rogan for sure.
So that's it. Thanks for listening again.
Let me.